the French psychoanalyst Jacques Lacan's interest in topology was not purely mathematical. It pertained to the discourse between analyst and analysand, which required the analyst to learn to listen with a vague disinterest to match the analysand's free association. But he also saw how the topology of forms inside space and time reflected the way that space, at the cosmic level, was both finite, but also, paradoxically, unbounded. To focus on the ethnology of psychoanalysis, we have to look in detail at some of the weirder aspects of space, and sometimes physicists such as Paul Dirac have been able to put their finger on how a mathematical peculiarity can be found in an ethnological practice. This suggests that the metaphoric mentality of the first humans was necessarily topological. The British physicist Paul Dirac explained how electronics both change their polarity and position at the same time, but in a mysterious way. Although they spin through a full 360 degrees, or 2 pi, their polarity only completes a half-turn, 180 degrees, or 1 pi. To change from plus to minus back to plus, the electron seems to need to spin 720 degrees, actually 4 pi. If we translate the half-spin of the electron to the topological construct of the real projective plane, we see a new role for the edge of the plane. It seems to relate to the way human groups define the edges of their territories. Imagine a ball moving across the projective plane. Topological rules require that just as soon as the ball disappears off one side, it reappears, in a different color, at the opposite side. But this is not too far away from early cultures' responses to the sun, which sets at one edge of the horizon only to rise at the opposite end, separated by night, which was then seen as pure negation, an interval dominated by demons, death, and dreams of both. Giambattista Vico noted that, for the first humans, things that were in reality very distant were seen to be quite close. The horizon was not just something near, it was something that could be localized, as identical to what defined the boundary of the group's personal domain. This was an ecotone, which was simultaneously the range of the group's movements, the territory defined by their resources, and of course the space that needed to be purged of threats and demons. Because the edge of this domain acted in exactly the same way as the edge of the real projective plane, the boundary of this ecotone was what we call the catographic cut, a division that is simultaneously a full circuit, 360 degrees, or 2 pi, but a circuit with a twist, meaning a condition of 1/2 pi, or 180 degrees. Just as the edge of the horizon was shrunk to the scale of the human ecotone, along with all of the properties of the projective plane as a rotational space, time also had to be simultaneously localized, using the same logic of the catographic cut as a circuit with a twist, which in culture became a condition requiring some ritual response. In this temporalization, the 4 outer corners of the domain became the inside corners of the templum, the place where sacrifices were made on behalf of divination of the future. But in every foundation rite, we find direct evidence of the real projective plane, in the ever-present theme of the twins, one of whom must kill the other for the temporal cycle to continue. Here, the catographic cut was essential to restore and reset the cultural clock. The twins were held in equipoise, at opposite ends of a rotational field. As rivals, one twin was destined to destroy the other, and in this all-too-familiar human situation, we find the same logic as the 1/2 spin of Dirac's electron. The twins behave both as a unit, a 360-degree circuit, and a 4 pi extra circuit, which Lacan would identify with surplus jouissance. The space occupied by human settlement thus had to transform itself at the times of festivals to mimic these transformational moments in terms of its own symbolic destruction.